Hello everybody. It's been a while since I shot a video, so I thought I'd shoot an update. Done a few things to the car since the last time I've shot a video and talked about it. A couple of things that I need to get done. One was the fuel gauge. That was pretty important. So I started messing around with the fuel gauge and ended up putting a aftermarket fuel gauge in. Matches the rest of the dash. I'll just turn on the ignition to show you guys. It's pretty cool. Oh, turn off the radio there. So I got a pretty cool looking fuel gauge that matches the rest of the system, rest of the gauges in the car. Wipers are on. Anyways, so I got half a tank there. It's pretty cool because it shows you the analog reading, which shows half a tank, and then it's got the numerical reading at the bottom, which is a percentage. It shows 51% fuel left in it, which is great. So the fuel gauge works now, so I know how much fuel I have in the car, which is really important. And I also got a boost gauge over here. I decided to install because I was contemplating putting a turbocharger on it at one point or another, or a supercharger, so I thought I'd put a boost gauge in. Worst case scenario, it tells me what my engine vacuum is. So either way, it takes up the space in the dash. That used to be the voltage gauge, and now it's a boost gauge. Got the heater motor running over there. I just shut it off. So that was one of the things that I had to do and got done. The second thing is the radio. Really sounded kind of funny. Tape deck doesn't work. It's, who knows, maybe the belt's broken inside it, I don't know what, but the AM FM works fine. Of course, there's no antenna, so I got a clothes hanger sticking out of the fender as an antenna for the meantime. I ordered an antenna on eBay, got a pretty good deal on an electric aftermarket, I think it's Mita or something like that, power antenna. So that's on standby, and I'm waiting for that to show up. Of course, that's probably going to be a 2-week ordeal to get it, and then to put the thing on is going to be a real hassle. I'm going to just shut the gauges off here. Oh, I should have left the gauges on. Another thing I did is I replaced the rearview mirror with a pretty fancy backup camera style mirror. It's booting up right now. It's got a GPS in it. It's got tells you how fast you're going. It's got a backup camera. It's also got a camera on the front, so you can record your front visual while you're driving, and it also works as a security camera, and it's also an impact camera. And a bunch of other things. It's Android friendly, so you could hook up your cell phone to it or your iPhone. It's a radio. Not that I can ever use any of that stuff, but pretty cool that it's got all those features. I'm going to just show you guys what I did in the trunk. I was checking out the speakers, actually even the dash speakers. I took the covers off to take a look at them, and of course the rubber foams that go around the speakers. Those are like, I think, 3 or 3.5 inch speakers in the dash. Not all Trans Ams have dash speakers. These ones do, or this particular model does, the NASCAR edition. And so I changed the front speakers. I ordered a set from Crutchfield's. They're an online speaker, car stereo, home stereo, hi-fi retailer. And got those. They were pretty cheap there. I think they were about $40 or something like that. Anyways, so I went along to the back. I'm just going to show you the guys the grills for a second. These are the factory grills, but I did have to drill 4 holes into it and put 4 screws in for the speakers that I installed. I happen to have a set of Altec Lansing 6x9 3-way speakers, and for all you guys that are car gurus, you can turn the ignition off again. And stereo gurus back in the 80s that know anything about speakers, the Altec Lansing 6x9s were like these speakers to get. They were carbon fiber cone, and they pounded. They sounded like you had a 12-inch subwoofer in the back. They were so great. Anyways, so I checked the AC Delcos out. I pulled out the 6x9s, and of course the foams were rotted out on them. So I ended up putting in the Altec Lansings. And I also put in a 120 watt per channel, 2-channel power amp by Pioneer in this thing. The reason why I went for this amplifier is I got the stock radio in there, which I'll probably end up taking out and putting a CD player in anyways. But the cool thing about this amp is you don't need an amp trigger for it to activate when you have it hooked up to the high power output coming from your stereo. So my factory speaker wires that come out from the stereo go into a high input in the amplifier, and as soon as you turn your stereo on, the amplifier realizes, hey, there's power coming to the speaker inlet inputs, so it activates the amp and it turns on, which is pretty cool. But all things being equal, the fact of the matter is when I end up putting in a AM/FM CD player, it's going to need an amp trigger, and I'm going to hook it up with the RCA wires because it's a much cleaner sound. But nevertheless, I'm really impressed with this amp. It's pretty powerful. It pounds. It sounds really clear and loud. The only thing that's preventing me from enjoying nice, clear music is, realistically speaking, one, I have no antenna. It's broken. As I said before, I got a power wire, or I should say a clothes hanger as an antenna for the speaker wire. You can't even see it. There it is. And I'm waiting on a new antenna, and I'm going to have to probably take off the inner fender to get at the antenna and replace it, which is going to be a pain in the ass. Most of you guys look at these Firebird Trans Ams and you look at the bird in the front, you call it a fire chicken. Well, personally, I look at that bird in the front and I look at myself and I think to myself, this is a Romulan Star Empire. Don't mess with it. Pretty neat. Anyway, so under the hood, everything's been done except, of course, I still want to get a overflow canister for the radiator. I'm still running a 4-liter coolant jug that you buy the coolant with, and I just got it shoved inside between the front bumper and the radiator valance there. As far as the engine goes, it's running great. The weather's been crappy. It's been raining and raining and raining, so I can't take the thing out and do a really cool video of how this thing goes. And boy, oh boy, does this thing ever go. It goes really well. It's got unbelievable power. It's got so much power that you can't imagine adding a power adder to it. And of course, here I am on Summit Racing Equipment looking at camshafts, thinking maybe I should go up a little bit because it's a 416 and I got an LS3 style for a smaller displacement engine cam, which is a stage 2. But really, 225.2 and 238.5 or whatever it was duration at 50 thou with 620 lift and 595 on the exhaust side. It's a lot of cam for a street engine. It behaves well. I have a 3,000 RPM stall converter in it. So when you're at the lights, the car's not bucking and jerking and wanting to go. It's very, very, very docile. And driving this thing on the highway, when the transmission locks up in fourth gear in overdrive, this thing's cruising along at 65 miles an hour at 1,700 RPMs. You don't even know you have a cam in it until you put your foot into it and you realize, holy smokes, this thing is not a stock 301 turbo, that's for sure. I've raced a Z06 Corvette. I think it was a 2019 model. And let's just say that the guy didn't have a chance. And I was all over the road because my back tires will not grab. They will not get any traction. That being said, that's going to be my next investment with this vehicle. Traction is really important. I don't have any. And this car is dangerous. I mean, dangerous with the factory tires, with the power it's putting out. You could easily lose it and wrap this thing around a telephone pole. When I was dancing with the guy in the Z06 Corvette, we were at the lights and the lights changed and I kind of put my foot into it. I didn't floor it because I know this thing is just stupid. It'll just start spinning like crazy, but I was still spinning and I went sideways. And it was a close call. I almost hit the guy. It was scary. But the guy didn't have a chance. Once I finally started going, I was like, see you later, buddy. And he had a stick. This thing's an automatic. You hear him shifting gears, but he kind of fell behind. Next set of lights, he rolled his windows down and he was asking me, what do I got underneath the hood? And I go, basically, I got the motor you got. Otherwise, it's stroked and I got a cam in it. And I'm probably pushing 650 horsepower at the crank. And he was pretty impressed. And I'd be too, because, you know, we're in Canada here and that Corvette's over $100,000. And, you know, some guy pulls up with a 40-year-old Trans Am and he smokes the Z06's ass. He's going to be kind of upset about it. But yeah, my next option or plan is tires, traction, and I'm just thinking, I don't know if I'm going to want to stick with these stock 15-inch rims with 70, you know, tall radials on it, even though I'm looking at Mickey Thompson's, and they got the street radials that are street slicks, basically legal slicks for the street. And I'm really considering buying 17-inch alloy rims. They're kind of expensive. They're not really in my budget, especially at this point in time in my life. I got things going on, but the rims are approximately about $250 to $300 each, and then the rubber is about $250 to $300 each. So I'm looking at about over $2,000 Canadian to get a set of tires and rims put on this thing. I don't want to just change the back ones, even though that would be the economical way to go and leave the front ones the way they are. But the way I drive this car and the traction that I expect is not happening with these tires, and even the front ones. I've turned into streets where I did a really hard left or right turn and the car slipped, went sideways a few feet, because these tires are really not meant for the lateral forces or the acceleration forces that this engine could put out and the power that this car's got. So it's pretty well a pro touring automobile. You drive this thing on the highway, I'm pretty sure I could hop in this car and drive down to Florida with it without a hitch. All things being equal, at this time, and unfortunately we can't go anywhere because of this coronavirus and the borders being all closed up. I'm just itching to go down south. I'm just itching to go to Atlanta, Georgia to meet up with Pontiac Matt and his brother and do some runs at the track. Of course, I'm not going to do it with those tires that are on it now because you're just kind of fooling yourself. It's just going to spin all over the place. I'll probably end up racking it against the side of the track barrier wall, because, I mean, it's almost like you're driving in snow on dry pavement. It's pretty ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I actually shot a video I wanted to put on YouTube. I had my action cam Sony suction cup to the passenger window. I had a great view. Videotaped the whole thing. I did some runs. I was down at the Downsview Air Force Base, and I really gave it some, let's just say I gave it some shit, and she went flying sideways, and it was pretty cool. Only problem is the thing shot the first 10 seconds of the whole video, and that was me pulling out of my garage. And the camera, for some reason, shut down. So unfortunately, that video is never going to be seen. But I will be shooting another one just like it when weather permits, because all we're getting right now is rain on top of rain on top of rain. And unfortunately, I'm not going anywhere in the rain, especially with these tires. They're bad enough in dry weather. I could imagine how badly they would slip if I kind of put my foot into it in the rain. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. I will definitely shoot a video of me driving the car, the next one. And chances are by then I'll have a power antenna on this thing. Not that makes any difference, because I'll probably not have the tunes on while I'm driving. And I definitely need to have the camera mounted as I did with the action cam I had on the window, because I need all hands on deck when I'm driving this thing, because it's like pretty severe and scary if you're not paying attention and you're not all there while you're doing your thing with the car. anyways, as I said before, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little long, 14, 15 minutes long. And the next one will be me booting around with this thing to show you what it does. And wish I had some cash right now. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation where cash is a little tight, or I would get the Street Slicks sooner than later, but it's going to have to wait a little bit. Anyways, thanks for watching. Enjoy and subscribe if you like. Have a great day. Bye-bye.